So we're talking with Kwasi, who is in our fall cohort, and Kwasi is the CEO. He's the CEO, right? And founder of TravelSee, which is a company that's trying to make museums a little bit more self-sufficient and give them some data to make better decisions. So we've been talking this afternoon and wanted to kind of have him. So Kwasi, just tell me what's TravelSee, what do you guys do, and what's the product?
Yeah. So hello everyone. We're live in Utica, and to keep it simple, TravelSee is trying to solve a 100-year-old problem, right? So for over 100 years, museums have used a very traditional method of learning about their visitors. And based on a survey that we've done, museums and cultural institutions, that could be zoos, aquariums, botanical gardens, historic sites, they get information about their visitors primarily through three ways. Focus groups, right, which is a limited audience in general. Paper guest books, when you go in and you write zip code or your name and where you're from. And word of mouth. And for over 100 years, that was great, right? They were able to get people in. But post the Great Recession, post 2008, grant funders, private and public, they want information, they want statistics. They want to know, when are people coming in? Who's coming in? What do people actually want from that institution that is not necessarily anecdotal? And that's where TravelSee comes in, right? So what we do is very cool. We have a little robot, and it's on the cloud, right? So what this robot does, it collects information that museum visitors already provide. It's already out on the internet, right? So that could be what you like about the museum. That could be your favorite exhibition or artist or program. So we have that robot that gets stuff on the cloud, but the robot has a twin, right? And this twin actually does stuff on site, right? So it analyzes ticket sales, gift shop sales, cafe sales, also attendance and public program and feedback and surveys. So these two robots, one is on the cloud and one is on site. They actually kind of work hand in hand. And by working hand in hand, what we try to do is deliver something special to museums and cultural institutions, right? We try to actually deliver a value of connecting what they already have on site in regards to resources and collections to what people want.
So let me ask you this: you guys are in the point where you're really kind of getting a beta product off the ground right now, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think has been the biggest challenge for you this fall of from where you started to where you got to go? What's the biggest challenge you're hitting?
I think the biggest challenge is trying to convince potential investors that this is a big win, right? This is a knockout the park. And there's a guy called David Tetton, and he's an investor. He's a VC guy, right? And one of the things that he always speaks about is that when it comes to investing in tech companies, specifically startups like us, young, early beta, perhaps non-commercial startups, is that common sense is not always common, right? You would think that investors would go to uncrowded markets and then kind of go in big and then obviously make the big win. That's the whole concept of being a VC, is trying to find the space where no one else is looking. What David Tetton actually says is that the actual research shows the complete opposite. VCs crowd spaces. Once they see that all the other VCs or all the other quote-unquote investors are looking in one direction, that's exactly where they jump in.
That's why there's 1 billion photo apps, right? Or there was at one time, right?
Yeah, like 2-3 years ago, right? Like 2010, 2012, that was the rage. So I think that's one of the challenges. We're struggling to convince people that arts and culture is actually a major thing, and it's actually a place worth investing.
We talked a little earlier about, you do a really good job in the pitch that you kind of gave us, right at the beginning. Is like there's the problem and there's the solution, right? Like it's an outdated way of looking at what their customers want. Is one of the things that, how is, not just from a monetary perspective, but like TravelSee is really interested in trying to get young people engaged. Can you talk a little bit about the problem that you're seeing museums having? Obviously young people aren't showing up, but do you guys know why that is?
Yeah.
Do you have a suspicion?
So I had a conversation a few minutes ago with someone called John Jacobson. And John Jacobson, he runs an organization called the White Oak Institute. And what basically they do is they work hand in hand with the government, with the federal government, to collect information on museums, right? And at this conversation I was having with him, we were talking about why the trends nationally are showing that most of the people who go to museums tend to be 60 and up, right? You're kind of senior citizen crowd, and why that's been so for so many years. And the big problem is that most young people, quote unquote millennials like we don't actually know what museums have to offer us, right? We actually have no clue, right? So being that I study museums and I'm a graduate student pursuing my master's in museum studies, I know that museums do great fun activities. It could be a yoga night, there could be a singles night, there could be a wine and cheese night. I mean, there's just so many cool dynamic events that are happening mostly for free and low cost, which actually fits our demographic, right? These great experiences where you can meet people, but most millennials don't know, right? When we think of entertainment, we often think of maybe film, maybe rock shows, or perhaps music performances at festivals. But museums do that, right? And to kind of answer your question, I think at the core is just a lack of I think there's a lack of recognition on both sides. And that's where something like TravelSee comes in, where we kind of plug in to what's going on the internet, where the majority of millennials spend their time and engage.
Cool, man. So what's the next step? Beta's going live at some point?
Yeah. So currently, as you know, we are very, very fortunate to be at the ThINCubator in Utica, and very fortunate to have John and Ryan kind of just steadily guide us.
Wow, thanks for the plug.
Well, no, I'm just saying I'm fortunate to be
Thanks,
here.
man.
You know, we didn't have to be here. You know, we don't. This is not designated space for us, so we're very fortunate to be here. I would say moving forward, we're looking for seed investors. I'll be honest with you. We have an alpha. It's very dirty, very, very basic. And the way it works is culture institution logs in. You can see very, very limited information as of right now on Twitter. But what we want to do ideally is that we want to grow that. Where not only can we do Twitter, but perhaps Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, different social media spaces. Because that's what really makes us unique in the market right now. There are a lot of people that can do on-site. But like I mentioned earlier, we got 2 robots. One does on-site, which kind of covers the ground game. One is kind of exploratory, right, and does the kind of the social media and the internet aspect. So I would say moving forward is getting that demo out, pitching that demo to several culture institutions, and perhaps getting a seed fund, right? We're looking for roughly about $50,000 to kind of get us off the ground and get us ready to do this long term.
So if people want to know more, how do they contact you, or what's your email?
You can find me on LinkedIn, but I would just recommend you go to TravelSee.org, because if you type in Kwasi, in America, it's a very complicated, whoa, what's that name? But my family's from Ghana, it's a very common name. So you're gonna see 8 million Kwasis. So you're not gonna find me. So I would recommend going to TravelSee.org, which is obviously spelled travel, like when you go somewhere, and see when you look at something. And one of the main reasons we came up with that name is because what our algorithm does, it actually travels and sees the data for you, right? So TravelSee.org, and then you can get information about us.
Cool, man. Thank you very much.
You got it.